If you're singing, then you want a pop filter.
I
But
think that's true. I think for a podcast, it just looks cool.
same with the headphones.
Yeah.
We don't really need them, but
We don't.
it looks better on TikTok if you have them.
Well, that's true, but also like I can't do a podcast without them because I get paranoid about like, oh hey, one channel just was out and I
Yeah.
didn't monitor it and I couldn't,
Yeah, I've seen that happen before.
But if you
where-
have a producer, screw this.
yeah,
If there's one guy in the corner that's listening to everything, yeah, I'll forego the headphones.
that's what's been nice about doing it at Trent's is he just sits there, doesn't say anything on the
Really?
podcast, and just like he'll laugh sometimes or he'll chime in if he like knows something about it, but he
Yeah.
mostly just sit there, change camera angles.
If
and
you
stuff.
if you can find somebody that wants to be a producer,
Oh yeah, and he's not
keep them
charging
forever.
me too.
That's Trent, you should be charging.
Yeah. I'm an intro real quick,
Okay,
but I
yeah.
edit this, so.
All right, that's good.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm Billy Willig, your host, and I'm joined today by my guest, Jayce Michael Hill
Oh yeah.
of the band. I forgot already.
Good luck, humans. And then another one that doesn't have a name yet.
I'm sorry. I literally asked like two minutes
It
ago.
doesn't
so,
matter. I mean,
yeah.
we're not. If we were even somewhat like in the local scene, I'd be like, "Come on, man."
But you just finished recording an album with another band, right?
Yeah, the one with no name.
What'd you play on there? Keys?
Yeah, I did keys, guitar, did some singing.
Nice.
It's fun. We did that up in Blackbird Studio up in Nashville. So that was a ton of fun.
Nashville is a great music town.
It is. I can tell that if you're there for more than like 2 weeks, though, I bet it's insufferable.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think there's a magic in Nashville. Like, you show up and you're like, whoa, everyone is amazing at
Yeah.
their instruments and it's just lively. And then you kind of stick around a little too long and then you're at a coffee shop and you'll hear some dude be like, well, the bass playing on my new album. You're like, oh, no, I can't. That's too much.
Have you done comedy in Nashville before?
No.
'Cause-
But I did see Zanies.
Yeah, yeah.
I drove past it.
I feel like their scene is very like tight knit, where you kind of have to know somebody to get in. And I never went up there for a long time to do stand up. I played music up there tons
Yeah.
of times, and then because I didn't know anyone in the scene, and then I got like a really good contact in the scene who was like, "Hit me up when you come to Nashville,"
Wow.
and I haven't hit him up because it feels like it feels like I already got what I wanted.
Really? That's great.
Kind of
man.
in a way,
That's funny.
But
Did you do Zanies and stuff over there?
no, I haven't done anything up there.
That
We-
seems to be like what people do. They want to go up to Zanies, and it seems like it's a very good club. Who? Wait, there's who the hell is that guy's name?
I know Theo Vaughn lives there now.
Theo Vaughn lives in Nashville. There's also
Who I met was Aaron Weber on the Burt Kreischer tour.
okay.
We talked a bunch of the days, and he told me to hit him up if I was ever in Nashville. So
I'm trying to remember the guy. There's one guy that lives there that is like a staple of Nashville comedy. Damn, it'll come to me later, and then I'll blurt it out when it has nothing to do with the thing we're talking about.
I know Aaron was the big dog in the scene for a long time.
Yeah, Bergazzi.
Yeah,
Nate
you're right.
Bergazzi.
Yeah.
That's who it is.
And Dusty Slay.
Is Dusty Slay from there?
I think he lives there now.
That's
I don't
cool.
know if he's from Nashville.
I hear about Dusty Slay. I've never heard his comedy, to be honest. I heard he's good.
He's really good, yeah.
Yeah.
He would come down and do like Star Bar drop-ins and stuff every
Oh,
now
that's
and
cool.
then.
Yeah.
kind of like Rory.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of Rory, man, you used to. Did you work at Relapse or did you
Yeah.
just run a bunch
Yeah.
of shows and stuff?
Ran a bunch of shows. Was the bartender there, and then I think like once you're kind of looped into that inner circle, everyone just kind of did everything.
Yeah.
There was a moment where, like, I call it off duty, but I'd just be hanging out at Relapse, and then all of a sudden some comic would be like, "I need the projector to work," and you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, let me run the cables," and that was a really. It's funny that you say Rory and Relapse because they really kind of feel like the same to me.
Well, that
You
was
know?
just like the era that I came into
Yeah,
the Atlanta
yeah.
scene during.
Super cool.
And like honestly, I feel like now there's like a hole, right? Like there's a relapse shaped hole.
Yeah, I think it was like for me it certainly kind of pushed me away from all of it. That was my home. But at least in
Yeah.
terms of performing, that was a stage that was that as soon as that was gone, I did a little bit more during the pandemic, and yeah, I don't know. You know,
Yeah. I mean, I did a show there, and like everybody, once you got to a certain level, like that was where you would learn how to do a show, like run a show,
mm,
and
people totally underestimated it for that because it was you would have you would have people that had no idea what they were doing, and it was 100% okay.
yeah,
You know, and I mean, of course I was. I mean, I took it too far. I think my first show, like we did filibusters,
yeah,
Connor and I. The first show was the first one I produced or put together, and it's essentially a rip off of one of those like improv stand up shows.
yeah,
But we thought we got a new spin to it. There were so many moving parts, like adding the slideshow portion in, and having the timer, and then you needed somebody in the back to like move that stuff, and then eventually we had to like up the production to where if somebody went overtime, how do we get them to move on without humiliating them?
yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah,
but all those moving pieces, like you really learn, like, okay, even running, a showcase isn't easy.
yeah,
Like there's so many, and like you learn a lot, like when I would put together that lineup for filibusters, I had the slideshow sort of set in stone, and so your name would show up. And so when performers would call me like 20 minutes before the show, be like, "Hey, I know I'm third. Can I go last?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
like this is in the
Oh,
thing."
yeah, I couldn't get a ride.
Yeah,
It's like-
like, and then I would never ever put them back on, and it's
Yeah.
like it is what it is.
I feel like that's kind of like a professional courtesy, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're not gonna make it to the show, let me know before the day of the show, or if it's an emergency thing, like let me know as soon as you find out. And don't be like, "Hey, I'm still trying to make it, but I'm trying to find a ride." Like, just say you can't make it.
I don't even read past the first sentence.
Yeah,
It's like I'm trying to, and you're like, "Cool." I mean, I hope you do.
because that's integrity.
Yeah.
Like, if you're too busy, you can turn a show down. That's okay. It actually makes you look good because it's like, oh, this guy's busy.
Or the move, the perfect move to me is if you can't do a show, just do this. Like, oh man, I can't make that show. What's the first available day that you have on this show that I can come pop on? I want to do the show.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get it. You're gonna do it. But you're right. It's like there's better things to do than my relapse filibuster show, and I get that. But don't blow me off like 10 minutes before.
There were so many great shows at Relapse, though. Like,
Well, and my opinion is that when you kind of take off that that sort of veil of ticket sales and we need people to come in,
yeah,
you can take more risks. And then there's also, I'll say this, Relapse had some of the best shows that I think that there was, and that also had some of the fucking dog shit shows that like you'd walk in on, you'd be like, there's a reason there's only 2 tickets sold.
That's the heart of the scene right there, though. Like,
Yeah.
'cause when I first started, I joined a band right after high school, and there was this all ages club by my house called Swayze's, and it was just like a shit show. It was the inmates running the asylum. It was the kids in bands were the ones booking shows and booking the touring bands and stuff. And yeah, some of the greatest shows that ever happened on Earth happened there, and then some of like the worst atrocities you could ever see
But
happen.
like a place like that can't exist without both.
But remember,
You
like
know?
Lace Larrabee would run like the backstory show before the open
Yeah,
mic.
I hated that show. I didn't. I mean, like, whatever. I'm so honest about this stuff
Yeah.
nowadays because it's like, I mean, like, I did feel that show, while sometimes it was really funny and sometimes you can show up there with, if you prepared for the show, and you
Yeah.
had a really good backstory, it was great. And then they would do the bucket, and then I felt like it was all about the interviewer.
Yeah,
like it was
yeah.
their moment to shine. Like they're gonna kind of shit on your story. It is what it is.
And they would try to they would try to upstage the people. I would see
Nah.
open micers get out there and make up the most ridiculous
Well, I
stories.
used
Just like,
to-
come on, dude, this isn't true.
I used to go up there and tell the plots of Disney movies, but I would like hide it,
Yeah,
and it would like I think at one point I got like pseudo banned from it because there was some Lion King. I did Lion King one time. I did The Sandlot. That was really funny. That one they actually got really far, and I pretend as if like I'm gonna have some revelation to just end it. It's like, man, I moved when I was really young, and my stepdad at the time was just he gave me this He gave me his favorite baseball, and they're like, "Really? This sounds interesting." And you'll never fail with that method
Yeah.
because they are like actually good stories.
Yeah,
Like
somebody
Sandlot's
wrote these stories.
Yeah. And the neighbor had this mean dog, and they're like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
But when you think about like the evolution of the scene, like that was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Almost.
No, that was Relapse closed late 2019, so it's about 3
Right.
years. So I guess I'm splitting hairs.
And then, but from there, like Lisa's gone on to do her podcast, Cheaties, which is kind of similar.
Yeah.
There's still people telling their stories and then commenting on it. And
That's true. I would always wanted to go onto that show and just be the cheater. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like
don't
yeah,
care.
it was just whatever. I didn't give a fuck about her feeling. You know, like you just see like, I like doing that kind of thing. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. That's what you need, man. You can shake it up a little.
It's like, it's funny. I think it's a good show, but it's always like, I mean,
Just be like the Andrew Tate character. Like, yeah, I cheated on her. I'm a high value man.
Yeah, it's like, when you're high value. Yeah, I love. When you're an alpha, it's just, I just feel like when I listen to that show, and sometimes I think it's hilarious. Sometimes I'm like, man, this person is just a perpetual victim.
Were you disappointed that Adam Levine was not faithful to his wife?
I don't give a fuck about Adam Levine. Sometimes I get him and Jared Leto confused.
Yeah. They're kind of this. Well, he's a better singer than Jared Leto.
Oh, 100%.
And Jared Leto has a weird cult. My friend who I went on the bird tour with worked at Camp Mars, which was like his cult like retreat.
30 Seconds to Mars. Dude, this guy.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a funny Adam Levine story?
Yes.
It's not even that funny. I just love it. He played Purple Rain.
Yeah.
On some show. I don't know what show it was, but Prince was in the audience, and so like the camera like focuses on Prince, and like, usually you'll get this kind of reaction. It's just like, wow, thank you for covering my song. Prince goes, like rolls his eyes, and I'm like, man, Adam, shut up. Like, why are you playing Purple Rain?
Yeah, probably not the best choice of cover.
Yeah, for him.
Because like Prince is like, that's like a cultural icon.
Yeah, I think it's like, and it's Prince too, who just doesn't put up with shit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like other artists.
There was have you ever heard of The Story So Far?
No, what's it?
They're from California. They're like a pop punk band, like a kind of like a melodic hardcore band.
Oh, okay.
And some kid like posted, they became really popular among like the scene kids, the Warped Tour kids. And so some kid posted like a cover on Twitter and was like, hey, everybody, listen to my cover of The Story So Far. And then The Story So Far responded to him and was like, why don't you leave those songs to us?
That's the best. I love that.
And so there was one time I was at Warped Tour and I was pissed drunk and I saw The Story So Far and I went up to them and I was like, hey, y'all, I thought your first album was really good, and then everything after that sucked. And I was wasted, like, just being an asshole. Because I'd seen them be assholes so many times. And, like, the guy, like, gave me this weird look, and he was like, okay, man. Because their first album was, like, a demo. Like, it wasn't that good. And then later on Twitter, like, somebody tagged me in a tweet from the guy, and he was like, some inbred hick in Georgia told me that our first album was
such
the
a
best.
victory for you.
I was like, I'm that inbred hick.
When did you go to? Is that still going on, Warped Tour?
No,
When did that stop? I went in 2007. It was like a dream come true.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
And I bet you if you gave me free tickets now, I'd say no.
I think I was looking through my email. I have like a ticket in there from like 2010. That might have been my first one.
I think that's about right. For like when it was good. I
would have been a junior in high school in 2010.
Yeah. I guess I was a junior in 2007. That's funny.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, I'm 30.
All right, right on.
Yeah.
Same ship, same ocean. I think at the time I went to go to Warped Tour for Against Me.
Yeah.
I was a really huge Against Me fan, and
When
Who else
people
is it?
see
Oh.
the track marks in her arm,
Is
she
that the-
knows what they're thinking. I love Against Me.
That album in particular, the one that you're saying, I think, is it New Age or something? New Wave?
Yeah.
That album. I don't think I got into any other album outside of that.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen on my way home, by the way, that album. I used to have that vinyl, and it was bright yellow. It was super cool. I don't know what happened to it.
I want to make a vinyl for my comedy album.
That would be cool.
That's my goal, but it's really expensive.
Yeah,
And
of
from
course.
what I've heard, like, everyone is so backed up making vinyl right now that it's hard to get.
Well, I had a friend. Actually, this was really cool. What he did, I was at this comedy festival in Sioux Falls, and he was giving out cassette tapes.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, you can't play cassette tape. He's like, turn it over, and he'd turn it over, and there was a URL and a QR code.
Yeah.
That would go straight to the Spotify.
Well, that was my thinking too. Was that at least you get like a physical collector's item.
Right.
Like, maybe you're not gonna
Right.
spin the record, or maybe you're not gonna put a cassette in a tape player, but you have something you can put on your shelf or whatever.
You know, there was this really great point that my roommate made. He does screen printing and like stickers and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
Dylan, I know. Dylan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's duh. And you know, he said like it's why you do those things, why you do those physical medias is first off because like there's no better reminder than like a sticker that says your band and then someone goes on Spotify to check them out. You know, instead of being like check it out, no one's gonna do that. If you ask them to, they won't do it.
Never.
The other thing is, and I think this is kind of smart, if you have a sticker or a shirt or a hat or something, sometimes your art is that's what it is. It's free, frankly.
Yeah.
People go to your comedy show, the words out of your mouth are not a physical. You know,
Unfortunately.
but I think what people will go is like, oh, that guy's funny. I want to give him $20, but I don't want to just give him $20.
Yeah.
So here's $20, and I'll take a shirt that you printed for $5. You know.
I had this bit in my act where I would like trick someone to take their wallet out, and as soon as they had their wallet out, I'd be like, "Can you give me some money?" And people would give me money all the time. I had to be like, I'm joking, like, you know.
I'll tell you the way to do it is to bartend, and then like it's happened at Relapse. So I'd be bartending, and somebody would drop from the show, and I just put the back in 15 minutes sign up. And then I'd come back, people would buy drinks and be like, oh, you were funny, and they'd stuff that tip jar. It was awesome.
That is genius, yeah.
Well, I don't know how to, you know, outside of that context, how
become
do you
a bartender. That's the advice.
Actually, it was funny. I don't know if you know who Dan Weeks is.
Yes.
He taught me how to bartend there, and he had this hilarious sketch idea of like, you know how there's all those like comedy classes?
Yeah.
It was like the comedy class will just start like, well, first off, here's how you become a professional comedian that makes money. This is called vodka, and here's how you
an
pour
old
it.
fashioned.
Yeah. Here's how you make an old fashioned, and it's like you just learn to be a bartender.
Yeah, I definitely like you have to have some other form of income if you want to be a stand-up comic.
I think you like there's,
If you're starting from nothing.
I think you need to treat. This is what I think you need to treat it like you would treat something like mountain biking.
Yeah.
You know, like it's fun. I'm going to put a lot of money into it, and it has to be fun, or else you're going to be wasting a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know,
once it stops being fun, it starts getting really difficult.
sucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always just loved going to shows. Even when I wasn't performing, I enjoyed going to shows because I felt like those were my people. Like, I felt like those were the weirdos of the world, the people who hung out at Swayze's or the Masquerade or 529 or where once I got older. Like, you know, it was just like those are the people who I relate to the most. And so...
yeah, or people that just appreciate that kind of thing.
That's why, that's the reason I want to have a career in the show world is because I like going to shows.
And there's nothing better than putting on a good one.
Yeah.
Really.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And, like, music was one thing, like, they're very similar and very different in that, like, you're on stage, you're performing, but music has this, like, kind of a disconnect where the crowd will clap and cheer, but you don't really know if they're into it or not when you're opening for, like, a bigger band or it's all your friends and they're all drunk and they're just yelling because they're having a good time. You don't know if people are actually, like, really giving you that validation of you're good, keep doing this. But when you're in, like, a decent size, like say 100 people room, like say a full Laughing Skull,
Yeah,
and you get that big like uproarious laughter,
that's it.
it's like a drug, dude. It's like whoa, I didn't know I could do this. Like, and it's is like validation of they just liked that a lot.
Right. And I mean that there really is. I love those reactions, or just having a crowd locked in.
Yeah.
And it's like I remember doing when I was doing stand up a bunch. I felt like my style was like everyone would be real quiet and then they would laugh,
Yeah.
and that felt like getting them really quiet was really cool.
Having them listen.
Yeah, when they're in and you could just like hear a pin drop and you're the only one talking, and everyone's like, "Whoa, what's he gonna say?" It's much better than like two people chatting in the back.
Yeah.
You know. So I think it's both of those things. You know, anytime the audience is locked in, we had a show at Smith's with this band, and it just felt like everybody was looking at the stage. There was no one like buying a drink.
Yeah.
You know, I've always said
That's
that
nice.
too. Like I want to do with music, because you have to do song, and there can be this sort of awkward, we're switching songs now.
Yeah.
I don't want a moment where people go, oh, okay, now it's time to go get a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a show, I'm like, you're done.
Or go smoke a cigarette outside.
Yes, exactly. Like, I think that there's a small 2-second break. Let me go.
At Swayze's, all the bands used to like just yell for people to come inside because everyone would be standing outside smoking cigarettes,
Yeah.
like socializing and stuff. And bands would literally spend like 10 minutes of their set trying to get people to come inside.
no,
And then
that's-
they'd play one song, complain about how everybody's outside. It's like, dude, if you're good, we're going to come inside and watch. But
Yeah.
if I like what I hear from out there, I'm going to be like, hold on, I'm going to go watch
Well,
this.
The cool thing about doing Relapse and then being in a band, it's like Relapse, you understand that they're like of that point of like there's a bar right outside and people will leave.
Yeah.
The second that there's a tiny dip in the show, they're going to be like fucking beer time.
Yeah.
You know, so you want to avoid that. You want that to never happen. So every second of the show has to be like someone's on stage saying something, doing something. So when you're doing the band thing, it's like my buddy who I do the band with, we both did improv at Relapse, and we were thinking about that. Like, well, there's going to be this moment where there's this dip, so it's got to be funny in between the songs.
Yeah.
We did this thing where he has to change the guitars a couple times, and so I do the Jude is changing guitars anthem.
Oh, yeah.
I'll start playing this piano song, and the drummer starts
That's
following.
great, yeah.
Yeah, and
That's an advantage. Actually being funny, because most bands are not funny, and people laugh. Like, if they like the band, the guy will just say something, and because there's a little chording going on in the background, it fills the silence, and it makes it seem like he's saying something interesting, even though he's not.
Yeah, and all those things are like, if you're going to run any kind of show, I don't care if it's theater, music, comedy, it's like, you got to know those things.
Yeah.
They never have a down moment, you know?
Just makes you seem more professional, and then people are like, whoa, this guy is like...
Yeah, oh, they didn't stop for a full hour. Like, well, all we did was joke around.
So many times do bands will like tune out loud on stage. Like, wow, wow,
No.
wow, wow. But we had these guys who would, as soon as they would get done playing, dude would start like breaking his drums down on the stage. Like, like taking cymbals off the stands and like putting them in the cases.
I think people are just sort of blind to.
I'm like, bro, get off the stage.
I think people are blind to what makes a show a show. I think that's what it is. Like that is the symptom of just being ignorant too. There is there are people, coming to see you.
Yeah.
Care about the show. If you just wanted to give them music, send them your Spotify. If you're that into the music, send them the Spotify.
Even if it's just friends and family, like they paid money, they paid $5-10 for a pre-sale to be there. Like you have an obligation to get it together.
At the same time, like it was so funny. We opened for this band called the Snozberries at Smith's, and they were phenomenal.
I like them already.
Do you? The way I described it, it was like, have you ever seen Tenacious D, the movie?
Yeah.
You know at the very end when they fight the devil?
Yeah.
Like they were the devil. They were just really good. And then, Jude and I and our drummer, Kyle, would just had these like acoustic guitars, could harmonize, But I feel like we were way more entertaining.
Yeah.
Because there was never a dull moment. And with them, it was like song, right on, cool, soak it in, another song. And yeah, just at the same time, I'm really happy that some bands like don't understand the idea of a show, because we'll eventually, even if we're not as good musicians,
There's
we'll
some
have the
bands
crowd.
I do go see just because they're good entertainers, and then there's
Yeah.
other bands I go see because they're really good musicians, and I just want to like see the
Well,
experience, you know?
I think that there's like it's like you can go to a symphony,
Yeah.
and you'll see some great musicians. You'll also I'm gonna go see the Flaming Lips in October, and I'm excited for the show.
But isn't
Yeah.
like classical music and like prog metal basically the same thing?
I feel like they are.
Just some dork going.
Yes, yeah, that's what it is.
I like both.
I would
but
actually love it if there was like a prog band with a composer.
where they wear like the powdered wigs.
Yes, yeah. And there's a guy going like, "Oh yeah, all right, bass, yeah, a
That
little
would be
little more gain, please."
That would be awesome. Just
I would
like-
pay for that.
Yeah,
That's a show, though.
that's a
See,
show,
that's a show.
Have you ever seen Mac Sabbath, the McDonald's themed Black
No,
Sabbath?
that sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I thought it was gonna be like a Mac DeMarco Black Sabbath like mix, which would be cool.
It's like the Hamburglar and Ronald McDonald singing Black Sabbath songs.
Oh God, that's awesome. That's another good show.
Yeah.
You know.
But could you imagine being the Mac Sabbath guys?
Yeah, it would be awesome. Are you kidding? I bet you that guy, like the Mac Sabbath, like the guy that plays Ronald McDonald, he probably has like a 9 to 5. Like that's the kind of thing where it's like when people are so passionate about that, it's because they have to be,
Yeah.
Like if you got to be a musician and you just got paid for that, I don't know if that creativity happens.
Like-
truly.
Like Guar.
I've heard of Guar.
They just put on like monster costumes every show.
Oh,
Like,
okay, yeah.
I don't know if I could put on the monster costume
I
every
couldn't.
day. It's
Yeah.
like
Well, it's like it's funny. It's like when you have those obligations, like paying bills, and then you have your passion. Like I said, I think you get more creative and you get crazier.
yeah.
And the funny thing is,
Yeah, yeah.
like a Mac Sabbath or a Guar. I'm sure that's how it started, and then that became their full time thing. And they're like, "Fuck, we got to wear these costumes every night."
That's what
This just used to be Friday,
I never want to be the gimmick, the
Right,
gimmick
yeah,
comic or
yeah.
the gimmick band. Like
But gimmicks make a lot of money.
they do, but it's not about the money, right? It's about the integrity.
Well, that's true.
The-
Don't say that too loud.
Yeah, I want money.
Yeah.
I would love some money.
I
That'd be
think
great.
if like the funny thing is, man, it's like good things. If they're good and you care that they're good, they'll make it on some level.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
For sure.
Or it might not ever, but it's still good.
Or it's
you
at
know?
least you've made something good and
Yeah.
all your friends like it and your family likes it and
I think that was the thing
that's all you need.
with comedy. For me, the biggest problem that I had with it was like, was that sort of point and me accepting that some people's goals weren't to make something good.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's totally valid.
Yeah.
If your whole thing is, you want your name on certain buildings or shows and that's your goal, then go for it,
I
And,
think
and
that's
kind of
ju-
people like me need to get out of the way, frankly.
As a musician though, you have that brain though of like I just want to make like a good record or a good special or
yeah.
something like that. Where most people are just figuring it out for the first time in comedy. Like they just got here and they still have all those like stars in their eyes of I'm
Yeah.
gonna be on Jimmy Fallon sitting in the chair chatting with him, and then you realize, oh yeah, sometimes you get lucky, but sometimes it takes 20 years to get into
Or-
that chair.
Yeah,
And sometimes you never do.
sometimes you don't get in that chair and it kind of makes you cool.
Yeah.
Other people are just made for that chair. And,
Yeah.
And some people are like so funny that they don't need the chair.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways. In comedy, to me, it's like, I don't know I know Scoville's done Conan, but Rory's to me is like this great example of a guy that if you know comedy, you know Rory. If you're casual about comedy, you might not know Rory.
Yeah.
And that's like, I mean, I think he's the best that there is.
Yeah.
In terms of like, this guy will have you laughing out of your chair, and it isn't classic stand-up.
Yeah.
It's something totally new, and it's crazy to me. In one definition, that could be considered genius.
And among
You know.
comics, Rory's like highly respected.
Yeah.
That's what I want, really. Out of like, at the end of my comedy career, all I care about is like, am I respected as, yes, this guy's a real comic.
Does he care about the craft? And
Yeah.
did he put something cool together?
I don't want to ever get lazy or just kind of go through the motions. I'll leave if that's what it comes to.
I think, it's like, I'm glad you recognize me as somebody that was at Relapse. That's kind of cool.
Hell yeah, dude.
Because it was like, that was really the creative place
Yeah.
that we could do anything. And then once I lost that with comedy, it felt like going through the motions. It felt like, oh, I need to when I was at Relapse, we were on the house improv team. I had the Thursday show. I had my own show that I could put up any show I wanted to, pretty much any time. And within reason, of course,
but that was the thing about Bob was it would be like,
yeah.
Hey Bob, I want to do a show. Here's my idea. Here's like the kind of like week or month I'm looking to do it, and he'd be like, great, how can I help? Like,
well, the funny story about filibusters is Connor and I had talked about the idea of doing it, and I go up to Bob and I had actually had written out this like proposal, because at the time I was so new to like Bob and his philosophy, and I like had it ready, and I was like, so I got this, blah, 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 and he goes, put that away. What day do you want?
Yeah.
And then at that point though, you kind of know like, okay, this guy trusts you. You got to really take this seriously.
Yeah.
There was no bigger slap in the face to me when a comic would cancel their show like last minute.
Yeah.
Man, it wasn't even my show. And the thing is, like, this is what Bob does or did. He had that bar, and that bar is, that was the Relapse money engine.
Yeah.
As any comedy venue is. The Laughing Skull is not making money on tickets, I'll tell you that.
Right.
Maybe they are. I don't look at their books. But
no, I'm sure they're not.
Yeah.
A water is $5.
Is it really?
Yeah.
God damn it. I haven't been there in like over a year. That's probably why. So, basically it's like the performer who was putting on the show at Relapse, the deal was, I don't know if you put on a show at Relapse, but you got 80% of the ticket sales.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah. No one does that.
No one does it. That's unheard of. And so if a comic canceled their show because they didn't sell enough tickets, I'm like, that is 1,000% on you.
That's you. Yeah. That's all you. Because you could have made money on this show.
You could have.
If you had put in the work and promoted it. And, like, today, it's, I don't know about, like, within the city limits, it might be harder to promote a show. But I run a brewery show, and people are into comedy more than ever now. They're, like, way more open-minded than they used to be.
Yeah. And I think that they crave it. We've had a few weird years, I think, of things getting a little out of hand.
I have a show at Red Hair Brewing in Marietta, and I go around the Marietta Square and just pass out flyers and talk to people, and people are really like open to comedy shows, going to a show.
Well, what's so crazy about 80%, or I don't know how much you make on the brewery shows.
Yeah, like 70%,
is that realistically, if you did that show once a month, you could pay your electric bill on that show.
Yeah,
like it's very, very feasible, and I've done it. When we did like 2 filibusters in a month, I think we made $500 a piece.
It's not easy, but
no, it isn't. But like there's certain things like the point being is that if you're given an offer at a theater like Relapse where it seats like 150 and you can sell $10 per ticket, that's $1,500 that you get 80% of.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that math. But it's like. When comics would complain that Relapse isn't promoting, I'm like, listen to yourself.
Right.
That $1,500 is out there,
dude, and
you can get paid more than $800 to do your stand-up show.
People have no idea that like a venue like Relapse is not supposed to promote the show. They gave you a venue,
right,
and a sound system and a stage
and
for
chairs,
free,
and a bar that you're not getting. The other thing is comics would be like, I want to cut to the bar. It's like, you're insane. You're insane. You've done nothing.
I've booked bands and stuff where like I had to pay like $400 to rent a venue out and then sell tickets and try to make my money back. Yeah. And it's like, this guy is giving you the whole venue and 80% of door, and you're not taking advantage of that. You're insane.
I mean, it's almost. I almost feel like Relapse was too good for Atlanta.
It was.
Like, there's
And
like
people would drop in there, like
Yeah.
Bobcat Goldthwait would do a show there.
well, that's
like,
a tough one. I think that's the one that kind of ran out.
yeah.
I don't know if you know about that story.
Well, last
They
I
got-
heard about that, he got
Yeah.
into like a car accident
Oh, dude,
on the
it
way
was.
there,
We had spent, I think, like a week getting that theater ready,
and that was in the news and stuff.
It was. It was bad. It was not good. It was really not good.
But like people would drop in, like legitimate comics would drop in there,
Yeah.
and I feel like there's not really a club that like regional comics enjoy dropping into in Atlanta now.
Yeah, I mean, what I took from that experience was that there's like the Laughing Skull, which is very like hierarchical. I fucked up that word.
Yeah, I love
Did I?
Laughing Skull for what it is.
No, yeah, it's you know what, if I'm gonna recommend to somebody like if you want to spend $25 and see a funny show, go to
Yeah.
Laughing Skull. Like no question. You're gonna get a very kind of like go to the front, get your ticket stamped, go get your seat, sit down, get a drink, see a comedy show, But at Relapse, you could do all that, and then you'd be talking to some artist that's hanging up their art on the wall and being like, I don't believe in chocolate chips. And you're like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like, that's what you would get. And you'd have that ramp on the outside where, like, my parents came to a couple shows, and it was so funny being like, please consider maybe not coming. But they would show up, like, dressed up, and people dress up to go to
Yeah.
the Laughing Skull. It's a night out.
Relapse too. I would see some beautiful women in
Yeah,
like
that's-
evening gowns. I'd be like, oh my god.
You'd see that. My dad like
well,
tucked
also,
in his
like-
shirt with a long sleeve button down, and he was like super excited, and he fit in right next to the dude that like barely had a shirt on, and that was the beauty of that place. Was like there are people who go dress up to go see their comedy show, and then there's other people like I'm gonna go do a headstand in the bathroom.
There was one time I was just hanging out there, and Chris Nikitas was on a show, a lawyer or whatever.
I
And
haven't
then
heard
two
from
of
him in a minute.
yeah, me neither. I always liked him. But
Good dude.
two like the most beautiful women came in, like sat on either side of me. I'm just sitting in the back, like by myself, and they both sat on either side of me. And I'm like, I've been with Taylor for over 8 years,
Yeah.
and I'm like, would you like me to move?
I love how that's your reaction. Like I might move now. No, man,
But it was a club, like they would go
Yeah.
out, they would look nice, people would look nice.
Man, it's so funny. It's like, man, I'd love to be so successful that I can just afford to dump money into a new idea of that. And I hope that he brings it back because he talks about it coming back. And he's one of the most like that man just does manifest stuff. And it's annoying because I'm not religious and he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
he'll be like,
yeah.
I prayed about it. I'm like, God, son of a God, like I hate that you're
Oh.
proven right.
Your prayers are working.
Yeah, I really don't like that your positivity works.
Well,
I'm
I
kidding.
think there's a difference between like believing in God and then supporting organized religion who has committed
He's-
hundreds of atrocities over time.
That's true. I think he's the former, not the latter, but
Yeah.
he's just a really good dude. And the funny thing is that people would try to get in these political arguments with him and call him like this evil Republican, and like, I'm the only one with an open club.
Yeah.
We're like, there's a gay show on tomorrow, followed by like an Indian only show. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I try not to bring up politics at all.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really
stand up.
it's silly
'Cause
it's
it-
just
It's tough. You're never gonna make everyone happy, no matter what your views are.
right.
There's always gonna be someone who's upset with you about it. It's
Well,
like,
and then there's the collective views, which I think are what comedy's for.
I'll
which-
get into politics on
yeah.
stage, but
Yeah.
those aren't my actual views. That's just something I'm saying to make you laugh.
Well, the one bit that I thought was funny that I had was when I would pretend to be that politician and I'd answer
Yeah,
questions.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember me.
Yeah,
doing
I
that.
remember that.
And it was always just like you could say like I was making fun of Democrats or Republicans. I was making fun of that guy
Yeah.
that was on both parties, just like not answering the question but making it seem like he's smart. I actually love that. I think that's so funny. I think that there's people that are really good at that.
Yeah, everything's so reactionary
Yeah.
that it's just
Yeah.
like,
Well, it's almost, everything's reactionary and like a good PR company can get you out of anything. That's what I believe.
that's what we need in Atlanta comedy, a good PR team. Have you been up to El Dorado yet? The new
Oh,
club?
yeah. No, I know Miguel.
Yeah.
I think I was interested in El Dorado because I kind of saw it as like the next Relapse. Right after that had closed, I remember telling Miguel like that, okay, this is the void you got to fill.
Yeah.
Because he kind of does something similar. I think that it's a little more open than your other clubs.
Yeah.
And what the irony on him is, I mean, I told him this. I was like, you run the shittiest theater in town. But it's a theater, and it's great. And your angle is going to be, anybody doing whatever they want on that stage.
Sure. It's a small room, and
Yeah.
there's not much going on in there. There's no bar, really.
Yeah,
It's just
that's his biggest
a
risk, I
window.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, the things that are going on right now is like Luke Bentley's running a roast battle there.
Yeah.
Taylor Neely's running like a riff only show there where it's like riff raft. You have to do stand up on the spot, like no prepared material. Gabby is doing her show Filth, where everyone's set has to be like dirty, filthy humor, or you get silly stringed. So that creativity is just like coming out.
Yeah, and I think you need that you need that in Atlanta, I think. And the funniest thing about El Dorado to me is like you can be this big creative explosion and you can be right across from Dad's.
Yeah.
Which I mean it's creative, but it's very much like, again, you're dressing up to an improv show and you're going to sit down with your beer and you're going to bring your date. If you bring a date to Dynamic El Dorado, you might get broken up with on the spot.
Yeah.
You also might be like, married that day because
or all the comics might just like hit on her.
Yeah.
Just like steal her away from you. That's the worst thing.
That's so accurate.
Atlanta comics are so thirsty, man. We need some more like nice young Christian girls to come out to these shows, Because, dude, in music, it was like if you're in the popular band, basically, you're getting all the ladies. Like.
Yeah, I imagine.
But in comedy, you could be the best comic in Atlanta, and you're still a virgin. Like.
I think that's just comics, man.
Yeah.
Comics, I think it was funny. I had heard this quote. It was like, comics just want to be rock stars, but they don't have the talent.
Yeah. I can see that, yeah. Because I'm kind of that way. I'm like, band didn't work out, so. Nah.
No, I think mainly like that's just sort of covering this idea of like, it's this performance, but you're also not, you have to be, being a rock star, quote unquote, is a lot more of like putting up a few costumes.
Are there any rock stars left?
Jack White. Jack White is like to me, like a rock star's rock star. I don't think I can name anyone.
John Mayer. Maybe?
John Mayer, that's a great point. John Mayer.
But he broke Taylor's heart, so.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Do not give a shit about that.
Nah,
at all.
I try to read the news every day to come up with like ideas and stuff. Yeah, but so I'm always like hearing about all the stupid celebrity stuff.
But that's a great question. Who's like a modern rock star? Jack White, John Mayer, those are two. But those there's like guitar heavy.
Kanye?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair,
I think he's earned it.
What's funny is like I've never seen a guy just so unanimously called a genius that I just don't understand. And it might be that I'm dumb, right?
My Chemical Romance, I guess.
That's pretty good. Well, they're coming back weirdly.
But yeah, I do think Kanye's a genius because
he's changed things. I think.
He's produced so many hit records that it's hard not to.
Right.
Like he's produced so many more beats than like I even realized until I like watched the documentary and looked into it, and I was like, oh, okay, this guy is a genius.
I'm afraid to look into
musically.
I'm afraid to look into it because I think that's a rabbit hole I know I'll fall into. I'll be like, beats. And I'll never be good at making beats. I'm not a beat dude, man. I'm just not.
But it is fun.
I know. I remember fucking around with Fruity Loops back in like 2010 and being like, this shit's honestly addictive. Have you done that? Have you played with Fruity Loops?
Yeah, I do. I have Fruity Loops, but I went over to, Whit Rummel.
Yeah.
I went to his house and he showed me how to do like Ableton Live. So I've been playing with that a little bit.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
I'm just getting into Pro Tools.
Kind of similar. It's like the Leviathan. Like I don't know, because I'm a guitar guy. Like I play guitar and bass, and I started learning like keys and synth and all the other stuff. But like I feel like drums, guitar, and bass, there's only so much you can do. Like you got the strings.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. Oh, that sounds bad. Let me change the
I,
tone, change the amp.
oh, with piano, um, like when we were up in Nashville, like I'd asked for these 4 different instruments. It was like piano, organ, Wurlitzer, and a Rhodes. And then you forget that, yeah, if you know one instrument, piano, you know all those, and they're all very different sounds,
Yeah.
and they're all very different uses. And I think that piano is the ultimate songwriting instrument.
There's so. When did you start playing music?
Um, I think I must have been like 12 when I was like taking piano lessons.
So really before the digital age of.
Yeah. Well, and then I stopped at 15, and then just sort of like that. Those lessons were very much sheet music, right?
Yeah.
And then when I was like 20, 21, I got into chords. That sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But like all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm not thinking about it like D, C, B, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's a G7, and you play the songs like that.
I was a church musician, so I always
So you started like
chords
that.
first.
Yeah. And so I'd say I've been doing that for a minute, but
before like everything went digital, because I feel like there was kind of a generation where you could keep up with the technology as it was advancing, and now it's just like you have this plethora of like synth programs. All the guitar amps are now like digital profilers.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about all that. I mean, I think it's
when you got it, it sounds really good.
That's
like,
true.
The Kempers and the Axe effects, like when you dial it in, it sounds like a tube amp with brand new tubes every time.
That's a good point. I think the thing is though that there's too many options, and people run to do things that it isn't needed.
Yeah. But I was a big cathode ray tube guy before like Axe effects.
Is that like
just like the orange glowing tubes that power the amp instead of solid state power? Because it just has this like depth and this like oomph.
It's funny. It's hard to describe what that sound is, but if you plug in a guitar into an antique amp, it is different than the new like Marshall amps.
Yeah.
Where
beefier.
I kind of feel like there's like a quarter of a second where you turn on an antique amp and it's like, will it?
Yeah.
And it's every time it's just like, thank God. With like the Marshall amp, it's just on and you're ready to go, but it doesn't sound nearly the same.
Yeah, I've got, it's not like a vintage amp, but I've got like an old tube powered orange amplifier for my bass, and that thing could like shake the windows in here, but like it's caught fire on me before.
Really? But that's
while I'm playing. Like you hear like a pop and you look behind you, there's like smoke coming off your head. It's like, oh.
Well, what's crazy about it is you can buy like a $30,000 guitar, and if you run it through a Marshall amp, you just have a Marshall amp sound.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously,
it's all about the flex, man. You gotta have that American Fender on stage so that people know you have money.
I got this special guitar. It's like, all right. When you're young, I think it's like that shit matters, and then now if you just I'll play a Telecaster just for fun.
Dude, I'm a big fan of Yamaha right now.
Well, they're great pianos.
They've been making like the best budget guitars. You spend like $300 on a guitar, it sounds just as good as like a nice Fender, Gibson.
Well, and I think a lot of that stuff, like you said, is flex.
Yeah.
But I also think there is also this: if you spend a bunch of money on something, you're gonna take care of it. It's gonna last longer. Like 100%.
I was a dumb kid. I bought like a nice Fender Mexican bass, and then I started taking it on tour with me, and it sits in the trailer. You go from hot to cold every day, and it just gets warped, and the intonation gets off, and so now my nice like studio bass is just a regular bass that could have been a friggin' Squire.
And I think that's what it is. I think you have your studio instruments and you have your on the road instruments.
Yeah. Don't bring your nice instruments on the road. I have a Gibson SG I would bring on the road too. That thing does not stay in tune no matter how many times you get it set up.
Shit. That's when it's funny, like the bass I have, it's just like I hadn't played it for like 2 weeks doing all this other work, and Came in yesterday. I was like, this is still in tune. How the fuck? I keep it here though.
Yeah.
Like here is nice and AC and everything.
Sits in like 70 degrees. Really, if you're gonna be recording music, you have to have a specific studio guitar.
Yeah, studio guitar, and I think like having a space for it, whether that's like a dedicated room in your house, or something like this. This is so fun. I love having this spot.
Oh yeah, this spot's great.
It's really awesome.
The acoustic treatment in here is really good, and like you got a nice rehearsal space out there.
Yeah,
you can't ask for more than this.
No, you can't.
I don't even know how you found this place.
It was through Liam.
I know Liam. I've been to his studio next door.
Yeah,
too,
yeah. He was there. That one's really nice. He was a part of this when he left, because he moved to New York. Yeah, I think.
Dude, he's been on tour, like going crazy.
Yeah, he's been doing wild stuff.
And then I saw Ty was in like Europe or whatever, Germany. Or
he
something.
was. Yeah, it seems like he had a great time. I mean, goddamn, I love that. I love being able to go to a place and do something. Yeah. You know, I think there's something way, like he's traveling, you know, but he also got to do stand up, and it's like,
dude, I think when you're traveling, even just in the United States, if you're on vacation or something, go find the local comedy open mic, because that's where you're gonna find the real local people.
Well, if you're vacation, like if you gave me like a paid week off, I'd probably be doing this shit, you know. Yeah. And I think that's like it's because it's what you want to do. Yeah. Granted, sometimes it's like go take a week and go to Iceland or something.
Well, I got married, you know.
Oh, that's right. Oh, congratulations! I meant to before we got here. I was like, remember to say congratulations on the wedding, and it's been like 2 hours, and I totally fucked it up.
Yeah. So
how was that? It was fun.
It was great. Yeah. I went to open mic on our honeymoon because Taylor was like, I want to go out to a dive bar. And like hang out with like locals. I was like, well,
there's no better way.
Best way to find a dive bar is to find an open mic. And she's like, oh, okay. Are you gonna go up? I was like, yeah. No, I can't do an open mic on our honeymoon. She's like, you should go up. So I was like, all right.
Oh, that's a good wife right there. Yeah. Like, hey, you can't stop him from doing it.
Yeah, I did my spot. We didn't hang out too long. We went and like hopped around to the other dive bars. But
where'd you go for the honeymoon?
Just to Colorado, Denver, and like the national park.
Oh, that's really cool. The Rocky Mountain one?
Yeah.
What's that one called? Is it called Rocky Mountain?
The one we went to was called Rocky Mountain National Park, but there's like a bunch of different
Denver's crazy.
ones. Yeah, Denver was great. The downtown area was a little rough because we got a hotel in the downtown area, and then it got real rough at night. Like people were throwing shit and like just acting crazy. So we moved to a different hotel in the suburbs.
That's so funny. It's like you just don't think of Denver as like any violence happening there ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Aren't you all like high and snowboarding? Like what's going on?
Well, my thought process was like downtown Atlanta. There's parts that aren't super nice, you know, but
like downtown.
But if you get a hotel in downtown Atlanta, it's usually in a nice spot. It's a nice hotel. Yeah. So I just didn't do my research enough.
It's funny because like downtown Atlanta, like what's called downtown is just, I would tell everybody not to go there. Yeah. It's like, you want to just hang out by a Walgreens and the Coca-Cola sign? Because that's it. That's all you're going to do. Go to Midtown, have a good time.
Yeah. But you know, if you get a hotel in downtown, it's like the Hyatt or like. Yeah. It's kind of in that Georgia State block.
It is. Yeah. I would say that if someone's visiting, I'd be like, find a hotel in Decatur. I don't know if that even exists.
Holiday Inn Express in Marietta.
Man, are you kidding?
Dude, Marietta is 20 minutes from the city.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I live there. It's cheap.
Yeah.
It's safe, and I can get to
and
the
you
city
can't get a studio like
every
this
day.
in the fucking city.
Yeah, no way.
That's no way. I mean,
you can, but it's much more expensive.
This would easily be like $5,000 a month. Yeah. If I were like, you know, I'm a walk away from Ponce City Market. Yeah. No.
Which is great. I have a friend who does like higher scale video production, and he has a big studio in Atlanta, and it is nice going down there. He does like he works for Truist Bank a lot. Oh, it's his own company, but he has a contract with them, and he does all their commercials and stuff. Yeah. We were doing a podcast together, but he's so busy that it's tough.
It's good. It's like, unlike me, this loser who's not bit. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, you know, he was like, hey, man, come use my studio. Let's do a podcast. I was like, sounds great. I hit him up. He's like, Yeah, I'm actually gonna be in Spain filming this like
Holy
DJ
shit,
set for
that's
2 weeks or whatever. I'm like, okay.
that's a good life.
Yeah.
I know. It's the thing is, I do video editing. I do videography. I just don't like to do it.
Yeah.
But those guys get to go some cool places, and
Y-
I do kind of go like, God damn.
You ever do the drone stuff?
No, no, I hate drones.
All the video guys I know are super into that now.
Yeah.
The first person
Well,
drone.
I think everyone thinks they need a drone,
Yeah.
and it's like your wedding doesn't need a fucking drone. I'm just gonna tell you now. Like, oh, well, I need a drone. You need a drone for the first kiss? That's weird.
I wanted my friend who shot the my album was like he's big into the first person drone, so I want to do like a drone shot over Marietta coming down to the venue.
It is cool. It's cinematic, but it's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that means there's a pilot going like fucking.
Yeah. But he loves it. He loves flying the
Well, that's
drone.
good. I hate it, and
Yeah.
that's the difference. I don't.
I got one of like the Amazon drones. I've been playing with that, just flying it around.
Oh. Yeah, there's the high end ones are so expensive, and I always have this like paranoia of crashing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, then you're out $3,000 or something, and to insure them is not.
It is
cheap.
an expensive hobby,
Yeah, it
but
is.
photography is pretty expensive.
Yeah, it is. All of it.
You think about like you buy like $1,000 lens
Ugh.
for one camera
Yeah.
that already cost you like $1,500.
Sometimes the lens is more than the camera,
Yeah.
and then you're like, how the fuck is that possible? How is that possible?
I hate video editing though. It's
I love it.
the least favorite
It's
thing.
my
to
favorite
do.
thing.
Like I hate even editing these podcasts, and it's just like a cut here, clean up the audio, and you call it a day. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I just don't want to do it.
I mean, and do you cut these vertically?
Yeah.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
It's a huge pain in the ass.
I just I set the timeline to the opposite,
yeah.
1080 by 1920,
Yeah.
and then I just zoom in and change the position.
I hate that so much. I hate
But
it.
dude, the internet doesn't care about
I know
the,
they don't.
the quality.
Yeah, because because you're zooming in. I don't know. There's like every client that wants that. I'm like, fuck.
Not only that, I'm using webcams.
I know. I bet they look fine though.
Oh yeah,
Do they?
They're
Yeah.
Logitech 1080p.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it looks great.
You got a good setup here. This is really nice.
It's very scaled down. I don't
Yeah.
need much. It all records. The interface records with the camera.
What
like,
program
footage.
is it?
OBS Studio.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
for
know.
the
OBS.
live streaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have a producer, like you said, you can just start switching cameras and everything,
Yeah.
and have that hardwired in. Or
Even
hard
that, I have
recorded.
to edit it because when I make it vertical, all the camera angle changes won't line up.
Yeah, well, you probably want both.
This one I'm
Both
not
files.
like switching, but when Trent's around, he's like switches it for me.
That's
and,
super good.
Yeah, does the transitions and stuff, and he's getting to where he's gonna do like the scrolling titles and all that.
That adds a wrinkle, for sure. I mean, it's nice to have like your guests on and have like their info. But I don't know. It's like everyone reads the bio. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
You know, if you're to like link to anything, it's
But
just
we're
bio.
trying to get to where it looks legit, like it looks
Yeah,
like a
Like a good
professional
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
Shit, we're at an hour now, so
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right, we're
This
done.
has been great. Yeah, we did it.
We made it to the hour. Woof.
I
No,
mean,
that didn't feel like an hour at all. That
Yeah.
was great.
30 minutes is usually what I shoot for, and
Oh, really?
we were just having fun, so I
Yeah.
just didn't say anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry for the long. Well, you can cut this in two, you know.
Yeah, thanks, Jayce. Where can people find your music when it comes out?
Well, I think we're just on Spotify. So if you just go Good Luck Humans, that'll be it.
Sweet.
And then the other one, I think my Instagram, Jayce Michael Hill, is where you'll find about the other band. We haven't named or have anything for yet. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing the album when it
Yeah.
comes out.
it'll be fun.
And check it out, y'all. Thank you.